Does anyone have any questions on lease options? Any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Could you stand up? Can we get a mic on this lady over here?
Hi, Samuel.
Hey.
A really quick question.
Yeah.
How do you transfer the mortgage? What if they're doing like a repayment mortgage? How do you convert that to interest only?
Sure, great question. So in terms of the mortgage, it depends on what their current setup is. So what usually you'll do is you'll get them to contact I like interest only. All of my properties are in interest only. So if it's on repayment, if you take the property on and you just keep it on repayment, you're effectively, you wouldn't want to do that unless you're very confident you're going to buy the house because you're paying down the mortgage. So I would much rather everything be on interest only, and you can get them to switch it. But how it works in terms of who pays the mortgage is you've got a few options. Best option is if they ring up the mortgage company and they just say, hey, I'm changing my account details, it's going to be coming from a new bank, let me pass you over to Samuel Leeds and he'll give you the details. And it's like paying someone's, let me just vision that you can follow, and it's just like paying someone's phone bill. Like if I want to pay your phone bill, as long as it's getting paid, I can pay it. So that normally works. Some lenders will say, no. The mortgage is in your name, so it needs to come from your bank. If they say that, then what you need to do is let the owner continue paying the mortgage and you reimburse them each month. But if you do that, make sure that you get quarterly statements to make sure that actually they are using it to pay the mortgage. So they're the two options.
So would you advise that if you can't get it transferred to repayment only, you should walk away?
It depends on the deal. It depends on the deal. But interest only is definitely favourable.
Okay, so ask them to switch it if it's repayment.
Have you got a lease option with someone on repayment?
No.
I wouldn't worry about it then.
Okay.
I just worry about sending letters. All right, great. All right, thanks for your question. Give her a hand. No, and honestly, the reason I say that as well is because here's what human beings do, and I do this all the time. I call it an XYZ question, and I always say to my students, don't worry about the XYZ, just start walking the ABC, because the answer is always on the other side of the hill. And if you try and figure out everything there is to know about everything to do with it's never going to happen, you know. But I appreciate your question. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi Samuel, probably a bit of a silly question, but what if the owner of the house is living in the house? How do you take over the house and rent it out?
Yeah, sure. So what are they trying to do? What's the owner of this house trying to do?
Sell it.
Sell it. So you could say the same thing if you just bought it, cash. Mm-hmm. What do they want? They want to sell it for 76 grand. So if you bought it off them for 76 grand, how much are they going to be left with in their pocket? Nothing. Because they're going to use all of the money to pay off the mortgage, so where are they going to live? And the answer to that is, presumably they know that and not me, because they're the one that's selling the house. Mm-hmm. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's a great question, but you're just offering them what they want. They were the person that advertised the house and are trying to sell it. Where are they going to live once they sell it? I don't know. It's like me saying, well, if I buy your car off you then what are you going to drive? I don't really care, actually. They're selling the car.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, man. Give me a hand. Right, any other burning questions around lease options? Yes, at the very back. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, Samuel. I just have a quick question. How much are solicitor fees usually?
Okay, so typically it's about £750 plus VAT. You can not pay a solicitor and draw it up yourself or find an online template, but I would highly suggest you don't, because what will happen is if the house goes up in value, whoosh, and you're like, oh yeah, at the end of the 7 years, you're thinking now's time to cash in. And if they say, actually, when I signed this, I didn't know what I was doing, I was signing it under duress. Okay. You're going to be really hard-pressed to prove that in court. I've had a lot of people where at the end of their term when they've tried to pull out of the deal and walk away. But luckily, thank God, I've always had a solicitor represent them and draw up the contract. And that way, at the end of the term, if they say, I didn't know what I was doing, I can say, actually, you had a solicitor representing you, and I paid for that solicitor, and they represented you to make sure that you understood what you were doing and it was drawn up properly. So it's really important to do that. Helpful?
Yeah.
Give her a hand. Give her a hand. Yeah. Stand up.
Hi, Samuel. Thank you. Do you have any advice on solicitors, as in what to look for in terms of these kind of deals? Yeah,
if you're doing a lease option agreement, you need a solicitor that does lease option agreements, because solicitors, generally, a lot of solicitors will say, oh yeah, I could do that. But I would always say, do you specialise in this? And there's not that many that do. And, you do need to use the right kind of solicitor. and also someone that's going to be quite fast, because solicitors tend to have two speeds, slow and stop. So choosing the right solicitor is really important, which goes back to the whole thing of building your power team. Your whole power team is important. Builders, solicitors, accountants, mortgage brokers, letting agents. Like, it's really important you have the right power team. And one of the things as well, on any of our training that we do, you know, on any of our paid-for training, at the crash courses, I used to sometimes get my power team up on stage and stuff. What used to happen was everyone at the crash courses would just phone them like crazy and ask them, pick their brains and ask them questions, and then they'd be too busy to answer my calls. You know, but at all of our advanced training, the deal selling masterclass, the deal finding extravaganza, the academy, you painting on any of our training, and part of that is we give you our entire power team. All right, good job. Give them a hand. All right, yeah, go ahead. Can we get Mike? Yeah.
Hi Samuel, quick question. So in terms of these lease option agreements,
Yeah.
I'm guessing that it will have to be in an area where the rental potential is quite good.
You know what? It's the exact what we did yesterday. So before you just because it's a free house doesn't necessarily mean you should do it. That's what I said to my friend over here. When I said don't rush to get one before a certain date, because it's always going to be a good house. So yeah, if you're doing a lease option, still do the research and speak to management. Still find out how much the house is worth. Still find out what the rent's worth. And of course, it's got to stack. I typically say for lease option, you've got to make sure your cash flow is £200 a month minimum.
What if the seller,
Yeah.
after signing a lease option with
tries
us,
to sell it.
tries to sell this to someone else?
They can't sell it.
How it is blocked?
So, okay. So if you've got a lease option agreement and you get it drawn up properly, and this is where the solicitors come in.
Yeah.
Like, it would be illegal for them to sell it. You have the first option on that property to buy it at that price at the time that you set. So I've had people desperate to try wanting to sell it, but they can't. It's illegal. It's the law. They've sold it to you already on an option agreement.
Will that come up during the search? When the other seller was.
Yeah, if they try and sell it, there'll be, I don't know if it's a charge or, but yeah, they can't.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay. I'm good. Thanks.
All right, give him a hand. Give him a hand. All right, maybe one more question on lease options. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, they can't sell it secretly. Yeah.
Hi, Samuel. Supposing the value of the house drops after 7 years, what would be the best exit option for?
Your best exit is to walk away.
Just walk away.
Yep. Here's the thing. You have the option, not the obligation. They have to sell it to you. They can't sell it to someone else. They have to. That's the way lease options work. Well, if they're not happy about that in the negotiations, and normally what I say is if I'm not going to buy it, I'll give you 12 months or 6 months notice for you to remarket it. But you have the option, not the obligation.
So the option is there that you might not buy. It's not compulsory.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough.
Correct. Good man. Very cool. Listen as well. I'll say one more thing as well. In terms of the agent, sometimes people get a bit weird. Ooh, I don't want to cut the agent out though, because that's unethical. Let me try and approach the agent direct, and I'll try and get them on side. Never do that, because they'll always get confused, and when you confuse them, you lose them. So what you do is you cut the agent out. I don't feel sorry for the agent because they've been trying to sell the house for 3 years. Right? So I cut the agent out and I go direct. I do the deal, and then once the deal's done, I'll go back to the agent and I'll tell them what I just did. Hey, I kind of feel bad. I did this rent-to-buy scheme, lease option, on this property, and it was on with you. And I feel a bit bad because obviously no, it's off the books. Could I maybe pay your fee or something? And they'd be like, what? Well, listen, here's what happened. And rather than tell them what you're planning to do, I do lease options, and here's... No. Here's what I just did with one of your houses. Can I pay your fee? And what you'll find is often they're like, wow, well, I got a lot more like that. And then suddenly what happens is they become your best free deal sourcers for free houses. Yeah, you're just not getting deals come to you all the time. Listen, your first deal is always your hardest. Once you do it...